Hi guys, it's Tanya here, otherwise known as Tartan Taz. Welcome. Today I am going to share with you a video that I made following a special request from one of my viewers. Thank you very much to Cornelia de Brabander. I hope I've pronounced that correctly. I will certainly put your name up on screen just in case I didn't. She saw my previous video on my hobonichi, and that video featured this cover, and she has asked for a little bit more information about this cover, how I made it, etc. She is happy for an explanation rather than a step-by-step video. It means that I'm able to do this video a little bit quicker. So without further ado, I am going to turn the camera around and get started. Here is my quilted hobonichi cover. It was made with cotton. I did a little patchwork strip and quilted it. Just so you know, I'm doing a voiceover for this because when I was recording it something went wrong with the sound, so I'm having to redo the voice. So you'll notice that my hand gestures don't always match what I'm saying. Maybe this is a blessing in disguise, as it means that I have less chance to ramble. Another disclaimer is that I'm not a professional sewer, so looking at this cover in a little bit more detail, you will see mistakes. But what this really means is that if I can do it, you can do it. The first step is to measure around the book, from edge to the other edge, taking account of the spine. Now I gave myself an allowance of at least 1 inch. This gave me a bit of leeway for any mistakes. So that was 1 inch. That is 2.5 centimetres. Moving on to the top side of the quilted part, as you can see, I have a strip of patchwork. One panel, strip of patchwork, and then the third panel. So 3 panels in all. I will start with the measurements of the patchwork strip. The strip is 2 inches wide, that's 5 centimetres, and 2.5 inches lengthwise, that is 6.5 centimetres. When I measured the other 2 rectangles, it was evident that they were slightly different in length, but they were still the same width, which was 2 inches, that is 5 centimetres, and providing that the strip, when the patches are sewn together, matches the other 2 strips in length, which should be around about 7.25, but again, you make your own measurements. It's difficult to measure things after it's made. Now I'll go on to measure this strip, which measures a little bit over the 2 inches. It looks like that is 2.25 inches, which is just a little over 6.5 centimetres. But again, the length is about 7.25 inches, which is about 18.5 centimetres. The final panel measures the same, 7.25, which is 18.5 centimetres, by a little over 5.5 inches, which is around about 14.5 centimetres. Now, when you're measuring your panels, don't forget to allow for your seam allowance. I used 1/4 inch, which is about 0.5 centimetre. Just turned my cover inside out so that you can see the under panel, which is just one piece of fabric, and it matches the top panel in measurements exactly. You sandwich the top panel, wadding, and then the bottom panel, right sides facing out, and quilt. The next part is the panels on either side. That is the pocket, and there is where the hobonichi slips in. So the measurement of the black and white fabric is about 4 inches. Now that in centimetres is just a little over 10 centimetres, and of course it will be the same height as all the other panels. Don't forget to put a hem on the side that is going to be visible, as this makes it look neater and stops the fabric from fraying. The blue panel on the top that makes the pocket is about 3 inches wide, that's about 8 centimetres. I cut my fabric double that width and folded it in half. I did it this way so that when things were getting put in and out of the pocket, it didn't catch on the hem. I did the same on both sides. However, with one side, before I sewed it onto the actual cover, I sewed 2 straight lines along, one here and one here, which then gave me smaller pockets so I can put cards in. The next stage, I put the panels on either side, and then I sew it onto the main panel here, making sure that this fits the book and that I can actually open and close the book before I then sewed on the binding. There you have it, a close look at my hobonichi cover. The measurements are not exact because it's very difficult to really see where the panel actually ends underneath this binding. So please bear that in mind and do your own measurements for your own book. These are just really a rough guide to kind of help. The binding, I'm really struggling to know how to explain how I did the binding, so what I will do is I'm going to put an iCard link in the top corner here that you can click on, and that will take you to a video to show you how to do the binding. Just always make sure that when you sew your binding on that you're leaving enough of an allowance, enough room for your book to actually be able to fit in this part here, because if you sew here then you're not going to be able to actually slip your book in, and it's not going to have that room to move when you open and close your book. The other thing I didn't show you is that where I've got my pen is a pure accident. The way I sewed my binding together, it gave me this loose part that I just actually clip into the hole. So isn't that clever? Purely by accident. Anyway, enough rambling. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already done so and would like to, why don't you subscribe so that you don't miss any future videos. And please, if there's any questions at all, if there's anything that you don't understand, if I've spoken too quickly and you want something clarified, or even if it's questions about me or about this channel, just pop them in the comments and I will answer them. You have a good day. Bye for now. See you again soon.